It's the first day of summer. The days are long and warm in summer. It's time to make hay and watch the crops grow. Hello again, I am Jim Bob, and welcome back to Seasons in the Valley, day one of summer. And it is early in the morning. It's 5 a.m. You can see there our expenses. Our loan interest now €2,750. It is quite a big loan. We've got €2,000 of running costs, $68 or €68 in property maintenance, but we do now have a little bit of income thanks to our greenhouses. So let's just turn the lights off. There we go. Make our way out, and let's go check on the state of our crops and our fields. So I'm going to cut through the chickens. Actually, let's grab our eggs while we're at it. There's a whole load of eggs waiting for us. It's good to see. Try and grab them all. There we go. Let's make our way out the back of the chicken coop. Hop the fence. And again. And let's take a look at our grass field. See if our grass has grown a little bit more. It looks like it has. Oh yeah, that's definitely grown a bit more. That looks to be at 66% now. Oh, 78%, so it's almost there. So one more day and our grass will be ready to actually start cutting. Oh, I need to slow time down. We're running at way too fast. There we go. Let's check our crops. Our crops should also be ready for another round of fertilizer on the fields that need them. Yes, crop is now at 50% height on these crops. Obviously, our other crops won't be that tall because they are more recently planted. And let's just see how much water we've used in a day as well. Let's pull up the help menu. We've used about 25% of our water, so we should be able to run these for about 3.5 days, looking at them, before they run out of water. So we'll have to top them up twice a season by the look of it. Right, so let's get some fertilizing done and some weeding done, and then day 2 looks to be when we'll be doing our grass cutting, assuming that they keep the grass grows overnight to the right height. Let's also quickly check our season's menu. Wood chips now are worth absolutely nothing. Look, they're pretty much the worst possible point. It's only in a couple of days' time they'll hit their lowest point for the year. So selling that's completely out of the question. You can see the wool is so high there yesterday because we actually had a great demand yesterday, which put the price over 12,000 euros per 1,000 litres. So if we'd had some wool, we could have made an absolute fortune yesterday. Alas, we don't. So we didn't and we couldn't. Let's hook up to our weeder and our front weight. Let's get our grass weeded. Nice hole in the hedge that we can nip through here. Oops, just dropped the weight. That's what I meant to do. So yeah, we're into summer. I'm looking forward to working this season. Get all of our grass work done. Quite a bit of grass that we can get mowed, and some will keep as grass, some will turn into hay. And the stuff that we do in grass will keep a little bit as grass, possibly, but we're going to do a lot of silage baling as well. Try and bring in some money to pay off our huge loan. 660,000 euros is our current loan debt. You know, we kind of maxed the credit card out a little bit to add in a couple of fields in sort of mid-spring, and then right at the end of spring you saw that we added in a load of equipment for the summer. So we added in a T6, some mowing equipment, a windrower, a tedder, and that bale wrapper as well, and it all cost us quite a bit of cash. So yeah, the company credit card is currently frozen in a block of ice in the freezer to cool it down after we nearly melted our bank balance. Gonna have to work hard to kind of pay that off over the remainder of the year. Some of it will be silage bales, some of it will be with our wood chips when we sell those in the winter. We've got our crops to potentially help go towards that as well. Excuse me, sneeze caught me off guard there. And then also I think in January we'll have our corn and our well, not January but spring. We'll have our corn and soybean to sell as well, potentially. So we've got definitely some money coming to us. We've just got to not go too heavily into debt while we're trying to get to that point. But this is the final stage of fertilization we need for our grass fields. And I think our main crops are already at stage 3. It's just our new crops that need that final stage of fertilizing. So this should be, I think, the last day that we need to do any fertilizing stuff. So we'll be on grass work and baling, etc. for the rest of the summer. And maybe, just maybe, we might even be able to get some harvesting in towards the end of the summer as well. I'll have a quick look at the harvesting chart in a moment, the growth chart, and see when our predicted kind of window for our wheat and barley and canola opens up, but I think it might be the end of the summer rather than into autumn itself. And there we go, that's our first grass field done. So let's just pull up on the side of the field here for a second while that folds up. Let's check the menu. So let's see. Yes, look, there we go. We can start harvesting at the end of summer. So that'll be good. And then, sort of mid-autumn, we'll be able to hopefully harvest these two. If not, we'll have the end of autumn as well. So we'll have 4 days, theoretically, that we can harvest our soybean and our corn in. Just have to hope the weather's good enough for those. And then we'll have 8 days, potentially, that we can harvest these 3 crops in as well. So a nice big window there. Obviously we've got our grass work to get done. Let's check our fields out in terms of what actually still needs to be fertilised. We've just done field 83 on. That was the second stage. So we need to do one more stage of fertilising on 83. That's still only at stage 2. We must have missed a day of weeding on that one. We've got field 93 here. We can weed that one. Get that one up to... oh no, it's 62. That's the field we've just done here. 62. So we've got 83 still to do. And 93. There are 2 other grass fields. We'll get those weeded. We're going to try and find some other grass somewhere for us to work as well. And then we need to spray our crop here. That's our soybean. And then we need to spray our corn over here as well. And get those up to stage 3. So that's the plan of action for this first day of the month. And this first day of the season. So where is the access to our grass field? It's a bit further down. And that grass actually looks like it might be ready. We'll have to get the Wopster out and check. But it looks as though it's at the right length now. It looks like it might be fully grown. Of course, this was already there. This was a native grass field, whereas the little field we've just done is a field that was initially just land and we planted it. Let's check the Wopster. Yeah, there we go. This grass is at 100%. So we just need to fertilise it and it's ready to go. So we'll have at least one field that'll be ready to go. In fact, we'll probably have 2 fields because I think it'll be the same for our field up by the pig farm as well. Because that was native grass. Well, I say native grass. That was already sown as grass on that field. That should be at this stage of growth as well. Obviously it just needs that final stage of fertilising. And interestingly enough, look, I'm going this way around and it's not telling me that I do not own this field. That's been an issue for us previously, unless it was on this edge. No, look, it's letting us... That's... Oh, no, there we go. True to form. Get part way in, and you do not own this field. Ugh. Alright. I don't own that field. Let's go this way around. Thought for a second then it might have let us get away with that one. But apparently not. There's a lot of grass that we can get here. There's going to be some that's going to be right up against the fence. It's going to be quite tricky to mow. And potentially quite tricky to retrieve as well. We'll do the best we can. Oh, catching on that fence. I just want to make sure that we get it all completely fertilised. Because we don't have as much grass as we started with. Obviously we ripped up one of our fields and turned that into a crop field, and that's where our barley is currently growing. So we did sacrifice a little bit of grassland to make way for extra room for crops. In fact, we've done that with 2 fields as well, because we have field 26 up in the top right part of the map, and we put soybean on that crop as well, on that field as well. So yeah, 2 grass fields that we owned that we ripped up and replaced with crops. So definitely not going to have as much land to work with. We'll have to, as I say, we'll go along, we'll do verges, we'll do whatever we can just to try and get some extra ground and get some extra grass, yeah, for silage baling. We'll find areas wherever we can just to really maximise our baling in the summer. But we need to be careful not to do too much, because the grass will start to degrade if we leave it out for too long, and it'll reduce how big those bales are. I'm also curious to see whether or not selling 4,500 litre silage bales is going to have an impact on the price, because I know that selling 4,000 litre silage bales on hard gets 980 per bale, which I think is about 70, it's something like 1780, 1790, something like that on medium, which is what we're playing on. So in theory we should be clearing probably 2,000 a bale if it's a fixed price. That's the other thing as well. I don't know if Seasons is going to give us a fixed price on a silage bale, or if it's going to be a variable price. So that's something else that we're going to be finding out, you know, this summer. You know, does Seasons? I know Seasons affects the price of some things, you know, quite dramatically. Silage seems to hold pretty much the same level throughout the year, according to the calculator or the predictor. But I'm very, very curious to see exactly what's going to happen with the silage bales. A, are they going, because they're going to be larger, are they going to be worth more? And B, are they going to be fixed in value? These are the kind of things that we need to know, and we are going to find out over the course of the summer. And there we go, that's the next grass field done. So, let's make our way over to the pig farm. Do the grass field that's over there, and then we'll come back, we'll hook up to our spraying gear, and we'll go spray our corn and our soybean and get them up to stage 3 as well. And there you can see this field is fully grown as well, which is excellent. Is what we were hoping would be the case. And to make sure we don't have that annoying issue of You don't own this field. We'll go this way round this time. That should prevent that from popping up. So you'll notice that our ground temperature is looking pretty nice here at 12 degrees. Interestingly enough, I didn't actually notice what it was at the start of yesterday, the final day of spring, but once I'd finished recording the episode and I was speeding time up, it started raining in the afternoon, as the weather had predicted that it was going to rain that day. And I glanced at the ground temperature and it had dropped to 9 degrees. Now, I don't know if it started at 10 or 11 maybe perhaps and dropped because of the rain, or it was just a colder day in general and was 9 at the start of the episode. If you've just watched the previous episode, please do let me know in the comments if you actually spotted and noticed the temperature at a higher level than that. I'll probably check the recording myself as well. But as I was, the point I was going to make is, interestingly enough, if we hadn't planted our corn and soybean on day 5 and waited for day 6, not only would we be running the gauntlet in terms of how long we would have to harvest that crop, because we'd be shortening our harvest window by planting later in our planting window, but if the temperature was 9 degrees yesterday for the whole day, we wouldn't actually have been able to plant those crops at all, because they need 10 degrees or higher to plant, so they wouldn't have germinated, which meant we'd have wasted the money in terms of the seed cost and the fertilizer cost, and ended up with just a crop that didn't work. I mean, I think what if I'm right in this, I may be wrong. Please do feel free to correct me in the comments if I am wrong, but from what I understand, if you plant and it's slightly too cold, just by 1 or 2 degrees, you can plant a degree or so early, and they'll stay dormant until the temperature rises that extra degree it needs or so, and then they'll start germinating once they hit that temperature. But if it's a substantial difference, like several degrees, then the crop will just fail automatically, and you'll end up with a dead, wasted crop. So theoretically, if we had planted yesterday, then they wouldn't start germinating until today, because there was only 1 degree difference below what they needed. But it would have been essentially 2 days lost in the planting cycle for those crops, which would have meant 2 days reduced from our harvest cycle. It really does kind of narrow down exactly how little time you have to harvest. These are the kind of things you have to be very wary of when you're deciding what crops you want to go for and when you want to harvest them. And if you have a very small harvesting window to start with, and then you delay planting, or you plant and the temperatures are wrong and you have to wait for the ground to heat up before your crops will start to germinate and start to grow, then your harvest window just gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And if you end up with just a single day, essentially, that you can actually harvest your crops, and then you get rainfall, you're screwed, because your crop will be too moist. You won't be able to harvest it, and by the time it's dried out, that'll be it. Your harvest window will have closed and your crop will die. So yeah, you really got to be careful. It's one of the things I really do appreciate with seasons, is just how much you have to think about what you want to plant, when you want to plant it, and be very mindful and wary of the situation in terms of your crop temperatures and your soil content. It's going to make something like the Wales Geo very tough, because the Wales Geo is an attempt to represent typical Welsh weather, and being from the UK, I can tell you that typical Welsh weather is awful. It just rains all the time. It's horrible. You don't have just long, glorious periods of sunshine. It just doesn't happen much in the UK in general. But Wales is, particularly bad because it's a lot of valleys. So it tends to create, a lot of low pressure areas. It tends to rain a lot in Wales. So Yeah, that's going to be a very tough geo to play on because it's constantly going to be raining. You're going to have to constantly wait for your crops to dry out, and you run the very real risk of your crops failing and not drying out in time for you to actually harvest them. Well, there we go, that's our grass all weeded. We have 2 grass fields that are ready to go right now, and one that is still probably a day or 2 away from being ready in terms of growth, but they're all fully fertilised now. They're all at stage 3, so we'll get the maximum grass yield from them. Actually, this is a really nice sized field of grass. I want to see just how expensive this field is. If it's not too bad, maybe we could perhaps break out the company credit card again. It's probably going to be too expensive. Oh yeah, that's way too expensive. 455,000, but that's a field for next summer, perhaps. Maybe we can try and get a little bit of contract work done on that field, and or for that farmer, if at all possible. Bring that price down a little bit, but 455,000, that's a lot. But look at the size of that field. You get so many bales off that field there. That'll be a silage baling heaven, that field. It really would. Right, we're going to get everything cleaned off, put the weeder away, clean the tractor, because the tractor's pretty dirty. It's making it quite hard to see out the window in places. See, we've got those mud spatters dripping down. So we'll give that a quick wash as well. We'll hook up to our spray gear. We'll go spray our crops, and then what I want to do is I want to try and mow the grass in our animal paddocks. We did talk about this as a potential extra source of grass. We're going to actually try that out today as well and see if we can use that or not. So let's just back up in here, park over the grating so we've got somewhere to drain the water, and let's give our equipment a quick clean. Weeder shouldn't take too long, it's only been used for a couple of minutes. There we go, so the weeder just about done. A little bit of mud left on the mud left on the wheel. And there we go, that's clean. Let's do the tractor as well. I'm not bothered about the weight. Just want to clean this, so basically so I can clean the windows. You can see all that grime and muck there. I want to get rid of that so it's a little bit easier to see. There we go, that's clean as well. So let's put the weeder away. There's our spray gear, we'll be hooking up to that. And we'll go do our new fields at the top. Get them their final stage of fertilisation that they need. Oops. Oh, I've got the weight attached still, haven't I? I forgot about the weight. Alright, we'll have to drop that off. There we go. Did we collect our eggs? Yes, we did. Couldn't remember for a second then. And do we need to top up? I think the gear's full, or pretty much full. Just quickly top this one up. There we go. Right. Off we go to the top of the map. There you can see our soybean starting to grow quite nicely. Let's turn in just here. Now that field there is already at stage 3 because that had a couple of layers of fertilization on it before we ripped the grass up. This one though is at stage 2. So this is where we are, up here on field 25 and 24, this combination field here. We need to spray these And then once these are done, we'll be heading across to the opposite top corner to go and do our corn. And then that'll be all of our crops done and ready. We just need to basically let them grow. We're getting a bit low on fuel. Might have to swing by a fuel stop. Do we have a garage in the centre where we can refuel? There's one down by the sawmill, but there isn't one in the village itself. So I guess we'll there's one all the way down by the yellow farm as well, just above field 80, bottom left. I guess we'll probably just wait until we get back to the farm and then refill at the farm. You can see the trees look darker as well now that it's summer. They really are showing some nice change in the colour. A much lighter green in spring, but now that I say it's summer, they're pretty much fully grown into, well, I say fully grown, they're fully coloured now in their colour cycle. And then obviously they're going to start going oranges and browns and reds in the autumn. I'm looking forward to seeing that sort of change in the look of our trees as well. And you can see the bushes have changed as well. They were quite a dark green, or at least the ones in the forest were quite a dark green in spring. They look a much lighter colour. It may just be that the ones that we saw in the forest were in the shade. I think they have lightened up, those bushes, again as they reach, you know, their optimal kind of colouring. You can see just the different shades of green in the leaves there. The map just does feel a little bit more vibrant right now. I mean, it's probably just this huge green glow that the map is giving off with all this soybean that you see in front of us, but you can see the fields, some of the other fields as well, the surrounding fields are starting to spring into life as well. They've got different crop on them. I think that one in front of us there is a wheat crop. And that one there I think is barley. Or maybe it's the other way around. Can't actually see what that crop is. But the other farms, or the other farmers, are starting to get their land coming in as well. Which is nice to see, you know, obviously earlier in the year when we'd started planting and doing our ploughing and stuff, you just saw brown everywhere. Now we are actually starting to see some real life coming into the map as all the different fields start flourishing, depending on what crop it is that they have and what was planted. Looks like we're going to end up overlapping a little bit here. Just this little strip to go. Yeah, we're going to get our T6 sort of out in anger for the first time properly today. Obviously we used it a little bit yesterday when we collected it, and it drove some equipment back to the farm. and when collected some water, but that was pretty much it. Today we're actually going to put it to proper work. So we're going to try and do some mowing today, be it just testing out the animal paddocks. I think we'll probably do our main mowing tomorrow. We need to kind of plan it a little bit, because we need to work really one field at a time, so that the windrows don't start to devolve a little bit. You know, obviously the longer the grass is left out, the more it starts to sort of just disappear and disintegrate, those windrows, and we end up with less and less volume. And I have noticed as well that if you're playing on a map that isn't seasons optimized, dear, that was bad driving, then even just bales, if you leave them out in the wrong spot, will just start to disintegrate and lose value and lose volume. So just to see what would happen, I did load up my Big Bud Farm file and enable seasons. I didn't save it. Just wanted to see what would happen to the bales. And the bales that I had under a shelter just started losing value and losing volume and quantity, you know, almost immediately. And within a day and a half, they were down to 2,000 litres per bale, as opposed to the 4,000 litres that they were originally. So that's something we need to be wary of. You know, I'm hoping that isn't going to be a factor for regular grass bales in that we store in the sort of barn area above our tractors. I'm hoping we can actually stack some grass bales up there and they'll stay there. But it may be that just grass bales in general, unless they're wrapped, will just start to disappear and disintegrate. Just driving through the town, there's the shop up there. There's the garden centre. Kind of miss the fact that, you know, the garden centres that... Ooh, nearly ran someone over there. I kind of miss the fact that the garden centres don't have quite as much a role this time out that they did last time. I like the fact that you could buy stuff from the garden centres last time out, and they don't really seem to do that much this time. You can see our corn is starting to grow quite nicely. Let's get this sprayed. This field's going to take a little bit longer because this is quite a big field actually. We'll do a headland and then we'll just keep working our way inside. We should have enough fertilizer left in our tanks to do this field. I'd be worried if we didn't actually. I mean, it's a good sized field, but it's not that big. If we ran out here, then it means we're doing something very, very wrong. And we're almost done spraying the corn, just a little bit left. Got a thin strip just there, and then obviously this one just in front of us. Already done the rest of the field, so time to start heading back to the farm in a moment. Break out that T6 and the mowers and attack those animal paddocks. See if we can actually get some good grass from that. Let's just get this bit here. I've got to kind of zigzag my way across here. Let's kill the cruise control speed right down so I don't go too fast. There we go. Beautiful. There we go. Right. back to the farm we go. Ah, we've got a water supply just there, look. I just noticed we've got a water fountain just here. Ah, I was parked right next to that as well when I said, let's see if we can figure out where the water is last time out. Ah, dear. So, we'd have to pay for it at the fountain, so at least we know where the free water is. I don't think this needs much of a clean, but we'll give it a quick brush down with the hose. And that's it now. That's our spraying gear used the last time, I think, this year. I don't think we'll need that again now till spring. So, good job there, Deltas. You've served us well. It's time to put you away in the cupboard and lock you up and never mention you again. That's your reward for, months of loyal service, is getting locked in the shed, never to be seen or heard from for the rest of the year. Let's zoom in so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. We need to refill our little T6 as well with fuel. Let's close the shed doors, open these ones. And there we go, nice full fuel tank. And we're not going to need the weeder either for quite some time. So, yeah, that's some of the equipment you won't see now being used for the rest of the year. The spraying gear, the weeding gear, none of that's going to need to be used now until our next round of crops, so next spring. It's all about the mowing stuff now, so it's time to get our T6 a bit of a run out. So we're going to go and check out that big grass paddock that we have for the cows, because I really hope that we can actually get grass from that. I know some maps you can in the animal paddocks, other maps you can't. I'm really hoping that we'll be able to mow the grass that's in there, because it's a huge, great big expanse of land. There's no animals in it, so we don't have to worry about potentially running over and killing our livestock. We haven't got any livestock to do that to. And there's so much grass there that, that's a huge, great big chunk of land that we can work. So let's see. Let's start on the other side. Make our way underneath the bridge. Do we have enough clearance actually with the mower? Ooh, not really. That's a bit rough. Might have to lower that next time. But we have all this expanse of grass, look, you see. Oh, we are damaging it, yeah. And if we're damaging it, that means we should be able to mow it. Yes, look at that, beautiful. Fantastic. Okay, so let's start driving around and mowing some grass. I'm guessing that tree has collisions, so I want to avoid that. avoid hitting the fence as well where possible. Look at that, we have grass. All of this. Ah, I do not own this field. Ah, god damn you. Well, that's still letting us mow. Just have to not get quite so close to the fence there. Little threadbare patch just there. This is a huge expanse of grass. I wonder if maybe we should plough this and replant it. It could be a while before we get cows. I'm thinking of going for sheep before anything else. So maybe we could plough this up, replant it as grass, and actually turn it into a field that we could cultivate, not cultivate, sorry, weed and fertilise, and really boost the yield. Yeah, so next year we'll get substantially more grass off it. We'll get twice as much grass. I kind of like the idea of doing that. I'll think about that. Ah, interestingly, we didn't get any grass off that. It clumped at the end, look. Oops. Going a little bit wonky. Yeah, you can see that little stretch there behind the building didn't give any grass, and then it all just clumped and spat out in one go at the end. That could make it a little bit interesting with the windrower. And there you can see, we didn't own that field. There's little patches there. But everywhere else should be nice and smooth and plain sailing from here on in. We're just working inwards. Right. Let's get on with some more mowing. Fantastic. Well, I'll tell you what, the fact that we can actually get in here and mow is just huge news for us. Like I said, it opens up a huge amount of additional grass that we wouldn't have had access to had we not come in here. So this is really, really going to help us out, immensely. Because just this area alone, like this, with no fertilizer and no ploughing underneath it, it's just natural, native grass giving a standard 100% yield. That's half the yield we would get off a field that we, have worked and ploughed and seeded with grass and then fertilized and weeded up to 100%. We're going to get obviously half that amount of grass on an equivalent sized field, but it's a huge. I mean, just look how big this paddock is for the cows, and all of this is just sitting here completely empty and vacant because we don't have any cows. So why not get in here, mow this, bale all of this grass up, do something with it, turn it into silage bales. It's a huge chunk of extra land that we can mess around with, while we don't have any livestock to inhabit this area. There are certain areas you can see where it's just spitting the grass out in big clumps when we get near a placed object like a building or that BGA bunker. Will it be the same around the back of here, I'm guessing, as well? Yeah, look, see, we're not collecting any grass from our front mower, and as soon as we get clear, thump, there we go, it spits out a big glob of grass. It's going to make those bits, interesting when it comes to collecting everything up, but yeah, we've got all this grass here that we can work. So I'm going to carry on mowing this section in here as well, and then we'll go get our windrower and row it all up nice and neat. And then after that, we'll have some bales to wrap. Well, we'll have some grass to bale, and then some bales to wrap. And there we go. That is all of the grass done. So, if we were to do this as grass bales, then grass bales only last for 2 days before they kind of rot and disappear, whether they're, in a barn storage area or not. So, because we don't have any animals, we have no need for grass bales. We won't be keeping any grass bales that we leave as grass will all be wrapped and then turned into silage. Now hay, if we leave the bales out in the open, will start to rot if it's exposed to rain. So same with straw bales, those need to be kept in a covered area, and this is where the snow mask comes in. So in the same sense that the snow mask is part of the programming of the map that determines areas where snow will not fall. It also affects areas where rain will not affect, because the snow and the rain will fall through the roof of every building regardless of whether seasons is switched on or not. That's just the way it appears in the game. Always has, and probably will always as well. So the snow mask designates areas where rain and snow cannot fall, in terms of the effect. It doesn't change the visual of the fact that you'll still see rain coming through the roof, but it does mean that anything in those protected areas will not rot, which is why you need to have, if you want to protect your hay bales and your straw bales, you need to have a map that's seasons enabled, fully compatible with seasons, so that you have those designated areas for your bales to be protected. Now we have one on this map, which is the bale area above where our tractors are stored. Other maps don't have, that aren't seasons enabled, don't have those sort of protected areas. So any bales that you have, are going to be exposed to the elements. If it rains or hails, that's it. It's going to start rotting your bales, regardless of where you store them. So because we don't need grass bales, as I say, we're going to do some grass as hay. We're going to do that on different fields. So this is all going to get baled up, and it's all going to get wrapped and turned into silage bales. Now I did check, because I wasn't sure about some fermenting lengths, and regular silage and silage bales will take 1/3 of a season. So because we're doing 6 days per season, it's going to take 2 days for our silage bales to become silage bales. We're going to wait 2 days for them to actually finish fermenting. It's not like regular farming sim where you can just wrap them and they're instantly silage bales and you can sell them immediately. We'll wrap them and then they have to ferment for 2 days before they become silage bales, and then we can sell them, which is kind of cool. I like that. Regular silage will take the same amount of time as well. So whereas a bunker will have, usually I think it depends on your growth speed when you're playing on regular farming sim. With seasons, it takes, same as bales, 1/3 of a season. So it'll take us 2 days. If you're playing on a 9-day calendar, then it'll take you 3 days. If you're playing on 12, 4 days. If you're playing on just 3 days a season, then obviously it'll only take you 1 day for your bales to ferment and your silage in bunkers to ferment. So you can't just immediately wrap and sell with seasons like you can in regular farming sim. But I'm going to get all of this rowed up, both this side and then underneath the bridge as well. And then once that's done, we'll get the baler, we'll start baling all of this grass, and then we'll get it all wrapped as well. So I will see you in just a moment. Alright, this is the last little bit of grass that needs to be rowed. Just merging a previous row with this last little bits left over. There we go. So, we have quite a lot of grass that needs to be baled and wrapped, and no time left this episode to do it. So, that's what we'll be doing next time out. We'll be getting our baler out and running it around this field, getting all these bits of grass baled up and then wrapped. Ooh, got a bit of a clearance issue there. There we go. You can see we've got plenty of grass all over the place here, all been rowed up. So we'll get all that baled up and then we'll get it wrapped, and then we'll probably leave them on the field while they're fermenting, and then wrap them, collect them later in the season. So that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and we'll be back with some more Seasons in the Valley very soon.